The drone is back.
It's back?
There goes Juice.
Hey everyone, in case you can hear us, welcome to DJs and Beers episode number 40 on the 21st of January 21. Now, if that's not like a number game going on here.
Indeed.
Ah, there he is. Direct from the desert.
Straight in the desert here.
Oh, wow. How you
What's going
doing?
on, everyone? Sorry, I'm late.
David, I never pegged you as a desert dude.
I'm normally not, but I had the opportunity to get away for a couple of days, so I thought that would be kind of cool. It's quiet. It's quiet as hell out here. Weather's not so bad. It's sunny.
Now, is the idea?
Telephone's ringing.
That's me.
Pick it up. Come on. What's going on? Is this your first show?
Now I lost the Zoom screen. What happened? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can even still see you. Maybe it's time to drink a beer. Oh, shit.
Out here
There we
too,
go.
so cheers.
Nice. What are you drinking, David? What's that? Alpine what?
It's called Alpine Duet. It's an IPA, of course. So,
No.
cheers.
Oh, cheers. I'm drinking sake. That is DJs and sake for me.
Oh, my God.
So what did I miss?
Sake and cheese.
Did I miss anything in the 5 minutes that I was late?
All right, what did you miss? We have a strange drone going on, and it's a radio slave drone. That's how I picked it up, and we have no idea where the drone is coming from. It's
No
humming
idea.
in the background. Anyone out there can hear the drone?
A drone.
Yeah.
Oh. Chris gets
Wait.
really fixated on stuff, and he can't.
Wait. Huh? Oh, my phone is falling down.
What have you been smoking, Chris?
Huh?
What have you been smoking?
Nothing yet. I should maybe. I managed to open my beer.
Now, David, is the reason to go to the desert for you? Is it to pursue spiritual enlightenment, or is it just to get away from people?
It's just to get away. No spirit. I'm not
From
doing
what people?
nothing crazy like that.
No ayahuasca, flowing gowns,
Nah. It's
no
just
ceremonies, tree hugging.
He's not in Tulum, is he?
what's that?
He's not in Tulum.
Yeah.
no sound therapy sessions.
No, man. I'm in the middle of like nowhere. Like the house, there's a house in front that's empty, and the next neighbor is like maybe 100 yards away. It's like completely desolate and quiet, but it's nice. It's actually kind of nice. There's a hot tub. I'm gonna get in. Get in later. There's a hot tub and barbecue and just chill, drink beers.
Nice.
I'm gonna record a stream while I'm out here too, a live stream. So I figured I'll use the cool backdrop for a cool stream.
Now, being in the desert with nobody there amidst the pandemic, does it feel like you're in a post-apocalyptic kind of environment, or?
No, not really. Just like If you go into town, it's pretty chill. Like everyone's still wearing their masks, and doesn't seem very post-apocalyptic. It's like it's like nice and sunny out and clear, and like I don't know, it's kind of calming and relaxing. It's nice.
That's great. So, did you guys watch the festivities yesterday?
I was able to catch a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of tuned in and out a little bit here and there myself.
Chris was excited about it.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a different person since yesterday, 12 o'clock.
I think so is half of America.
Life has become so easy
Half
and
of the
simple
world.
again. You can sleep at night. Everything's great. And I thought the
there's
festivities were pretty good. It was a pretty good, well done inauguration, I guess.
I missed like his speech, and I don't know. I'm assuming he said some good things.
The speech was good, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a speech, but it was a good speech. Lady Gaga was giving it all with the anthem. That was pretty cool.
I wonder who wrote his speech for him. That's a lot of pressure.
They all have
Yeah.
speechwriters, but they're quite involved. I mean, Obama had a speechwriter, very good one.
Yeah, everyone has to, but in the end, they decide what they're going to say.
Yeah,
So,
it's about injecting their own personality, and that's what I guess makes a good speechwriter. Is like you're really trying to write it for the person who's actually saying the words and imagining them saying the words and stuff. So, yeah, I guess I didn't see
it
it.
basically gave you the feeling that these people will do a better job in the next 4 years than whoever was in there the last 4 years. This orange man.
Well, I mean,
I actually decided not to tweet about the orange man anymore now.
yeah, let's just.
Done.
You don't really have to anymore.
No, I'm done. He's gone.
That's it.
I've
Don't you
achieved
feel?
my goal.
Don't you feel a little bit sad that you don't have like some?
Yeah.
Dude, there's no sadness at
something to
all
talk
involved.
about?
None. I don't miss a thing.
Yeah.
Don't you also have the feeling it's so peaceful and suddenly it's so somehow?
It definitely does feel a little bit
Oh.
like on social media anyway.
Yeah, on social media especially, I think.
I try not to gauge what my life is like by social media. I gauge my life what it looks like outside my house, and it doesn't look peaceful to me yet.
Yeah.
But we'll get there, I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, the sense of hope, optimism, a return to normalcy, all these things are quite evident in most of the conversations I've had with
Sure.
my friends. But of course, there's a lot of people that think Biden is the devil, and whatever Trump was doing needed to continue for another 4 years. I don't know. I don't know how.
Do you personally know people like this, Ali? Personally?
Yes, I do.
And
I know.
and how can you explain their thinking and beliefs?
Without naming names, right? I have worked with and have been friends with people who thrive in chaos. Like, and if there's something chaotic or tension filled or whatever, if that's not happening, they don't feel like themselves. They don't feel like, something's happening. So they shake things up until.
I think you described the past 4 years, your president in the past 4 years really well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have friends like that who get up
Oh my
every
God.
day and try to create as much chaos as possible. That's their MO,
How come they're your friends?
Well, they're not close friends. They're people I've worked with in the past, and certain friends, obviously, I had to walk away from like that friendship. I wouldn't say purge, but I walked away from certain friendships for the time being because there's a lot of people trying to cope mentally with what's happened, and all the lies that have been told and the conspiracy theories and everything out there. A lot of people are just lost in their own heads,
So could you guys be friends with someone that's a Trump supporter?
I don't think you have a choice when most of them can be also your family members as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's funny to hear Chris ask, do you actually know people like that? I think if you live here, at least, of course you do.
Yeah.
They're everywhere around you. I mean, people have completely opposing thoughts on everything. They're in your family, they're amongst your friends, they're amongst the public when you're out. It's not. It definitely doesn't feel like. It definitely doesn't feel like the majority of people that I know are anti-Trump. It actually feels like 50-50, like the world around you is completely split down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pro-Trumpers, you know, when I have friends who are pro-Trumpers, and when I try to talk to them about, you know, their perspective and my perspective and stuff, they're quite militant in their perspective. Like they don't quit until I agree to whatever perspective or whatever point of view they're trying to force onto me. And it's like, at a certain point, you get tired of like the back and forth and the arguing, and, you know, it's just like
The same could be said though about certain people on the left too. They're quite militant in the way they believe as well, and they're not going to let down that anything they think is. I mean, let's face it, nobody thinks they're wrong. Everybody thinks that they're in the right when they have their own ideology and belief in something.
But you know what I noticed, like especially on my personal Facebook page, like friends, I always see posts of people saying like, I unfriended so and so because I found out they're a Trump supporter, and it's like, I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but also like, shouldn't it be normal or fine to have a difference of opinion with someone? Like you really have to like kick someone out of your life because they believe something different. It's like you a person being an atheist and then being like, oh, I don't want to be friends with you because you're a Catholic or a Christian. You're like, you're stupid that you believe.
David, I totally agree, but isn't there a certain threshold of how evil a person can be? Or let's put it the other way. The question is, if someone following is believing and supporting and following a really bad person, does that make the supporter a bad person as well?
I don't think so.
I mean, there's
some other people who supported Charles Manson. Yeah, you just like, you know what? He can still be my friend. He just has a different attitude about Charles Manson.
Well, they could say the person could be a Trump supporter and not support everything he's done. They're like, maybe they're like, well, yeah, he fucked up doing this or that, and they don't like that aspect of it, but they could still be behind him somehow.
I think there's a difference between like a difference of opinion, which I fully embrace. You know, if you're going to have a dinner gathering, you want someone, you want to sit across from someone that's not going to agree with you or everyone else at the table about everything. Otherwise, it's a really fucking boring dinner. Yeah. But then, you know, my friend sent me this article yesterday on a bunch of people that gathered in front of like protesting in front of like a pizzeria. It's kind of like a laid back pizzeria cafe kind of place called Comet Ping Pong in DC. And they have a lot of poetry readings and things like that, whatever. And they were, you know, accusing Comet Ping Pong of having one of these child pedophilia QAnon kind of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, whatever. Was that the pizza place where they were like in the basement, supposedly?
Well, that was another one, but this is, I don't think that was Comet Ping Pong. This was another one on the eve of Biden getting sworn in. And I find that people like that, if I'm friends with them, that's kind of a red line for me. You know, it's like, if you're that delusional, you're kind of lost, you know, you're a bit lost. And, you know,
I think my issue is that far too often us as human beings tend to over categorize people into small groups. So we sit here and we split it into two groups of people and say Trump people, you know, Democrats or whatever. And it's really just, it's really not that simple. There's so many nuances and there's so many levels and varying degrees of people who have different beliefs and things. And I was the first one when Trump went into presidency. I had lost a couple friends because I just couldn't deal with their shit. And I was like, I can't believe you support this fucking asshole. You know, I'm unfriending you from Facebook or whatever means people do these days. But in general, I think over time, when you actually sit down and you communicate people on a human level and stop trying to force your ideology on other people, you can find some level of common ground and you can empathize with what they believe in and what they don't believe in. Of course, there are extreme assholes out there. that have really, really terrible beliefs about things, and it borderlines fascism by all means, but not everybody is like that. And I think you have to judge everybody by an individual and not necessarily by grouping them as one large group of people.
But if you follow such an asshole, like you just described Donald Trump, what does it make you?
Well, a lot of people,
everything he says.
Not a lot of people believe in everything he says just because they vote Republican or they support some of the things that he promises. It doesn't mean they follow what he says. What you see on the media and what overemphasized and it's sometimes it's just sensationalism. Yeah. Of course, there are a lot of people out there who are assholes, and by all means, they're dicks. That's it. There's nothing else to it. But you've got to kind of just meet everybody on their own level, I think.
Look, at the end of the day, we are what we eat. We are what we read, what we listen to, how we dress. We represent things, and that's our calling card. Like sometimes if someone is representing someone who you find utterly like, I don't know, like a character like Trump, for instance. I mean, it's like, how can you have anything in common with that person?
Yeah.
Don't you think it's also weird? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's weird to be a Trump supporter and also be like electronic or like a techno DJ. Like those two things just doesn't seem to go together, because people go to parties because it's very free and obviously very liberal, and then you have someone that's right wing that's a techno DJ or whatever, any kind of DJ. It just, for some reason, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how could you be?
Are there though, David?
How could you be playing in such a liberal environment and be so right wing?
Yeah, I mean, are there right wing techno DJs?
Quite a few.
Yeah,
I've seen.
There's
some,
quite a few. Yeah,
I can't say I remember any names, but I know I've seen them on Twitter.
Wow. Okay.
And that's why I was like, to me that just doesn't make sense. I'm like, how do these two go together?
Yeah.
Is it like, are they liberal only when they're getting paid and making their money, and then when they're at home it's like fuck everybody else?
Yeah.
I think for myself, I've decided that I just want to take a central position when it comes to politics, man. I feel like I've seen extremism on both sides. I've seen where the left goes far too extreme, and I've seen where the right goes too extreme. And have you guys ever heard of this thing called the Horseshoe Theory, where politics is represented as a horseshoe, and it seems like the further on the left you are, the closer you are actually to the right?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And that becomes an issue because actually, let me look this up real fast. Here, look, it says, the Horseshoe Theory insists that the far left and the far right, rather being at opposite and opposing ends of the linear political spectrum, they closely resemble one another. Analogy to the way that the opposite ends of the horseshoe are close together. The theory is attributed to a French philosopher. I can't remember the year. Proponents of the theory point out to a number of similarities between the far left and the far right, including that their supposed propensity to gravitate to authoritarianism and totalitarianism. And it makes absolute sense. We've got to just kind of balance the way we believe in things and stop, pointing fingers, because we've been so separated for so long at polar opposites. We've got to bring people together, and if you want to achieve any level of sanity anymore. So it's time to start empathizing with people more instead of just like pointing fingers at them and saying, you're fucking crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to play football, Jerry. Speaking of extremes, there's been an extremely abundant amount of Bernie Sanders.
All those
memes. Have you guys? I'm getting like one every 5 minutes, and it's getting ridiculous. Yeah.
That is probably a sign that you're online too much.
Huh? No. They're being sent by a text message. It's just like every friend I have is sending me some, some like, Bernie Sanders meme that I haven't seen before. Some of them are just genius.
I love the one in front of Bergheim.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah. Was that what was that taken from? Was Bernie at the inauguration?
Yeah, he was at the inauguration. Looked like he was kind of cold, and he was all bundled up.
It's amazing, like the people that have, I mean, whoever has that sense of humor that is the first to realize that something is meme worthy.
Yeah.
You know, like I always thought Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained, when he made that face,
Yeah.
I love that face. But I never thought to like, you know,
Oh, when he's like,
turn
when
it
he's
into a
laughing,
meme.
right?
Yeah, you know that like it's just the best face in the world because it's like, are you fucking kidding? You know, it's but somebody the memes.
That's why memes is a $1 million business, man.
Well, why is it $1 million? Well, who's making money doing memes?
Do all those like big Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
They have like offices, they have staff that they would just make memes all day. And they make their money from advertising. Who's the one that said it on the last chat? We chatted about this, about some company.
Hiroko? Hiroko is like the queen of the meme.
Yeah, she should be banking on that too.
We should do a DJs and memes episode. Chris.
I was just looking at our comments. Us talking about politics actually kind of
pissing people off. Yeah, shut up and play them.
Divides our audience.
Shut up and play that music, jukeboxes.
So we should
just need to shut up and play some music.
All shut up and play some music.
I mean, how are we not going to talk about an inauguration that just happened yesterday?
Yeah,
we're not going to just
especially when three of us are Americans.
And we're an opinion show, right? We're an opinion show, not a news show.
Sure.
It's true. Yeah.
Right?
You know what, man? I think all of us started doing this show because we wanted to do whatever the hell we want and talk about whatever the hell we want. So we shouldn't be dictated by what
Cheers to
people in
that.
the comment section want us to do.
Yeah.
So you
At the end of the day, you know what we have in common with the pro-Trumpers? We like alcohol too.
There to go. We're already starting to find what we have in common.
Deplorables.
Probably the only thing.
Sure.
Well, what?
Well, we can transition from that to
everybody at the same time.
I think we can all agree that we're glad Trump is gone.
Yay! Yeah. Cheers to that. Woo, party.
Cheers
all
to
right,
that.
everybody knows now. That's good.
Quick question for I guess for Matt and Ali, since you guys are in like Spain and Berlin. Was there any like celebrations out there yesterday?
No, I don't think so. No idea. I mean, we're full lockdown here. I mean, on the verge of.
Oh yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine. He used to work for me a couple days ago about about what everybody in Berlin is doing, and I think Matt, you brought this up maybe on a previous show. A lot of the people in our industry are working at the vaccination.
Yeah, I mean, my wife's working at a vaccination center.
That's right. Yeah.
Literally, I think there's tons of DJs, staff from Bergheim. Yeah. Loads of people are working there. Yeah, I mean, it's well paid. Unlike the UK, where I think most people are volunteering, and in Germany, it's a well paid job, and I think the contract's probably going to go through to the end of the year. So,
yeah, it's well paid. You're going to be the first to get vaccinated.
Yeah, my wife was vaccinated 2 days ago. She got her first vaccination because they have to defrost vaccinations every day, and so that the doctors can vaccinate. At the moment, it's the elderly people, and so what's left at the end of the day, then they vaccinate the staff.
Oh,
wow!
So that's cool. How it works. But yeah,
and also it's become this. Because everyone's missing travel and being in bars and restaurants and clubs and things like that. So it's become like this social gathering.
I guess so.
Of sorts for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for most of, I think the people that are in charge of it were all working in nightclub culture because it's all logistics, planning. Yeah. It's herding people in, giving them drugs, and then sending them out. So and Eva's actually working at Arena Club, which was a club,
Now, if we could start DJing in these places, maybe that would be the silver lining. And
while people wait to get vaccinated. But talking about Corona, I think we should get our guest on because he can tell us firsthand how it feels to be COVID positive, as he is right now. I'm not sure if I was just spilling a secret. Gustavo, are you there?
Hello.
Gustavo Pereira.
Now everybody knows. No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry. Was that a secret?
No, of course not. It's not a reason for you to be shy or to hide. It's actually the opposite. You should let everyone knows. Especially the ones who are in contact with me. Yeah.
That's what you know how you got it? You know how you contracted it?
Yeah, I think so. Because what I did after immediately I start texting everyone who was in touch in the past 5-6 days, because I did a test like on the Friday before and I was fine. And so I was trying to figure out what happened. And one of my students from the DJ classes I was giving, and it was actually my last class, last lesson on Saturday morning, like 3 hours closed in a studio. One of them started getting symptoms on the Sunday night, he tested positive as well, but he just got the result after me. I did a quick test and I got the results before him. And the other students were also infected, also start having symptoms at the same time than me. Yeah. So yeah, that's what makes sense for me, in terms, because the rest of the people I was in touch with, they were all fine. And most of them, they did tests as well after some days, and they were negative.
And how are you feeling at the moment then?
Actually, quite good. I don't have smell, and taste is highly affected. Of course, it makes, but I can still notice the difference between sweet and sour and salts and spice, but most aromatic stuff I don't feel it at all.
So let me ask you a question. If you fry up some bacon, you won't be able to smell that bacony smell. No, and you won't get that cured saltiness of the bacon.
It's different taste. It's weird, I'm really into it, as you know, and the food tastes in a different way, slightly, of course, because some of the taste and the spice and whatever, I still have the taste for it, but in general, it doesn't taste the same way it used to do, and I hope this get back to normal quickly. Apart from that, symptoms, when I started, and I went to do the test because Tuesday night from last week, I got really crashed, I had a big pain on my back, on the rest of the body, headache, I was dizzy, I had to lay down on the sofa immediately for a bit. And actually, at the first time, I didn't thought about COVID. I just thought what the fuck is going on with me? and then actually after I slept really bad on that night because I was feeling bad. I woke up, I had some temperature, and I went to do the test immediately. And it was 2 minutes with a quick test. It took just 2 minutes to know that I was positive. So yeah, after this 4 days, I was feeling really bad, and then I start getting back to normal, apart from the taste and the smell.
Oh, we're so glad to hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
Gustavo, we have today's a show of a lot of firsts, I guess. The first COVID patient on the show, and we have the first promoter on the show. And maybe we'll use the chance, but because you just were saying you're also giving classes for DJs. Can you tell our viewers a little bit of what you're actually all doing down there in Portugal to dive into everything?
Yeah, it's actually quite a lot nowadays. Actually since March, the first months we stopped, of course, and everyone was trying to figure out what's going on. But even since that April, like we start working on other solutions, trying to figure out what we could do or not. You know, like if you wanted to do something, you know, like and yes, like because before I was doing like NEOPOP, which is my baby, you know, like, and my original event, you know, like it's from me, Paulo and Raul. And it was going to be the 15th anniversary this year, you know, of NEOPOP. We're also doing like BPM, brunch in Lisbon, Elro, you know, like, and apart from that, also DJ, you know, just more for fun and to feed the love for the music I have and to share the music I like with the people, you know, like I never had the intention to be touring like worldwide or whatever, you know, it's just an escape for me, you know, like, and to get in touch more closely with the crowd as well. And I think it helps me understanding better the crowd as well as a promoter too, you know.
Gustavo, you were born and raised in Porto, right? Which
exactly, man. Where's Superboc? This actually is I'm close to you. It's a Japanese rice lager edition, special edition from Superboc.
Wow.
Amazing.
Cheers, guys. And thanks for having me.
How does it taste?
It's like I like these special edition ones. Like this is a Bavaria Weiss. It's and it's a bit stronger, but not. It's also still light. And the Japanese lager is also really light and smooth. It's nice. Yeah.
And Gustavo, like Porto is what, the second largest city in Portugal?
Totally.
And
in terms of people, yes.
and obviously everybody's heard of port wine, which comes from there. It's absolutely incredible. It's a sweet.
It's after you know the story, right? You know the story. Like it's like port wine is just the name of it.
Tell us the story. Tell everyone.
This is when it gets started. you know, like because port wine is actually not made in Porto at all. You know, like it's made through the riverside of Douro, like in the countryside, close in the mountains. You know, like so, and they produce it there. And actually, on that area, on that regions, like they don't call it port wine. They produce it, and when they give it to you, it's like you say like, "Oh, this is port wine." It's like no, it's vinho fino. They call it vinho fino, which is like a rich and a quality wine. You know, they don't call it a port wine. You know, like so, like in the past and still today, like not of course in the past they were coming by boat from through the Douro River to Porto, and it was stored in the cellars in Porto, and then we sell it as port wine. I mean,
it's genius marketing, I guess. Like
totally. They start early. Like this was a long time ago, you know. Like, but still, it's one of our flagships from town, you know. Like in terms of attractions, you know.
Well, isn't there a story that port wine was also a result of a weird accident? Somebody like stored it for too long or something like this, and then they found out like, what does it taste? And I remember some story like that.
Actually, I'm not sure about, but there's some stories about it, and I think they mix it up with like a kind of grappa that we call it aguardiente here, you know, like, and it was already like a grape that was already old and more sweet, you know, like, and they did the test, but I'm not sure, so I won't get too much into it, so it doesn't look bad.
But, you know, Porto is also quite famous for like some of the freshest seafood in Europe as well, and I know you're very fond of cooking and food. But I'm curious about where you got your start, like in electronic music. And obviously I was, you know, there was an association between Deep Dish and Teneglia and Underground Sound of Lisbon in the early 90s. There was like an incredible music scene in Portugal in the early 90s. Were you a child? Did you come out of that early 90s?
Yeah, I came.
What was it like in Porto specifically? Because I know there's always been this rivalry. Maybe you can speak about that as well, between Lisbon and Porto. And obviously there was the Algarve and other regions, in Portugal, which had like a thriving music scene. But maybe you can take us back to the early 90s for you.
Yeah, so like early 90s for me, I was still a child. I was like 10. But actually I started
I started myself. So.
I started like more in the mid 90s and the end of the 90s, initially I started mostly with jungle, big beat, future jazz, and drum and bass, and dubstep. And I was getting some techno, and some this electronic, more techno and house music from the Viva channel. I was watching on the TV at the time. And actually for me, it was kind of curious, but I didn't like the music I heard. I don't know why. It was too cheesy for me, And yes, like I had a lot of friends who were already going to Rocks Club in Porto, which was like, I think one, like in the end of the 90s, was even considered like one of the best clubs in the world. It was
incredible.
Massive.
I played once.
Yeah, it was massive. Like Underworld did live show there, like in the Carnival night. Like Deep Dish played there. Like everyone was playing there regularly. Like every weekend, they had like Friday and Saturday. I don't remember. Like one day was more techno, another that night was more house. Oriented lineup, but all the big names were playing there. Like you had like Jeff Mills on Friday and Tony Humphries on Saturday, or a Deep Dish or Richie Audin, like that. I've seen that Richie doing Dex FX 909 over there, and I was close to the DJ, to the stage, like looking at him like young kid, and going crazy with all that, But yes, like Porto, I started actually like Meia Cave was a small club, really interesting club, and really important for the scene in Porto in the 90s. In Ribeira, which is Riverside, like the old town, part of town from Porto. The art from the night scene in the 90s, actually, and yes, one day I had this this place started getting a lot of fights and people, like a lot of police, start getting messy after a while, So like one day we start seeing the fight, like outside, tables through air, like chairs, everything, And we left and we start walking and we found this small micro club, called Urban Sound on that time. And we got in and we're like, we start looking. It was empty, like 10 people inside, but the music was nice. And it was different, it was more housey vibes, like as well, techno, like disco. They had like a very eclectic and interesting program for this micro club. So like we would start going there because we felt comfortable, we liked the music. And after some, like a month or wherever, one day we get there and it's completely packed and there's a lot of people outside. And we thought like, fuck, we're not getting in anymore, and the bouncer saw us and he calls us and he's like, yeah, you can get in, like you're a regular client, you can get in, come in. And it was packed. And since then it was packed every day. And like Harvey played there, I don't know, David Alvarado, like a lot of guys from that time, like Adam Freeland, like a lot of guys from that time were playing there like just for free, or just for fun because they were playing Rocks or Pasha after, or even Vaticano and It Club, like actually the north of Portugal. Then I started going like and spreading and going to all the raves around, and we were going to 2 or 3 raves in the same night on the same weekend, and just traveling by car, like all the time and never ending days and nights. But yes, like actually I was super lucky to have this this crazy action, going on in Portugal, like all around, like not only in Porto or Lisbon. Actually, Lisbon was strong, and it's always been strong. But a lot of action was going on around these big cities, like in castles, in warehouses, like in other small clubs or bigger clubs. Like we had Viseu, which is like 1 hour from Porto distance, and 1.5 hours or 2 hours distance from Lisbon. They had like the biggest club, I think in the 90s was the biggest club from Spain and Portugal, and it was called The Day After. They had a kart track, inside, like they had a beer factory inside. They produced their own beer.
Wow.
It was crazy, like, and you had like big raves going on there as well. So,
where was Caddock? Remember Caddock?
Caddock it was close to Locomia. It's Algarve as well.
Right,
like, yeah. And also like at Easter time, for us, it was Easter time and summer, like normally 2 weeks in summer, August, like going to Algarve and having Locomia or Caddock every day, like, for the big and huge parties with all the names. But some of them were not even playing. The lineup was so big, like that sometimes like there was not like you were just there for the flyer, like for not for playing.
But like Gustavo, I'm curious what you were you gravitated towards music. You're a great DJ. I've heard you play. You played before me many times. You have
Thank you.
a really, keen taste in a specific kind of techno. You're quite open to like left field sounds and the aggressive side of techno as well. Like, what made you decide to become a promoter as opposed to just like a DJ and a producer? What led you to did you one day realize that you have, like, maybe you did a few parties just from a DJ perspective and you realized that you were quite good at putting on an event and dealing with logistics and things like that, and then maybe that became like more interesting to you than pursuing the path that we all kind of pursued?
Yeah, it's I've always been like a music lover, since my parents they put the seed and they feeded me like in terms of music. Also my brother and my cousin, like always at these I always say like I owe these to my cousin actually, because he's 10 years older than me, and so my brother was listening to his music and I was listening to the music they were listening to. So I was always a bit disrupted in terms of time, chronology, and in terms of my group of friends as well, like especially when I was younger, because the difference was huge in terms of music taste and what I was listening to and what they were listening to. But yes, like when I started working on this, I started not as a DJ at all. So like I started like helping on logistics for an after hours that was being done in Porto in a boat, and I started doing some bookings also for some DJs.
No, but it's getting hot where I'm sitting, so
what?
Careful if you come up this way.
You listening?
Is that David?
Yeah,
David
I
is
don't know if he
studying
knows
the
his
desert
microphone's
coast.
muted.
So yes,
David's in the
I've
desert, so he's
I always wanted to DJ.
Hi, guys.
I was checking everyone, playing from close, like, and I knew how to do it. So it was quite easy for me. Like in some hours, I start like beat matching, like, and I start doing what I wanted to do, like, and from there, like, yes, we were playing a lot in these after hours because they wanted to close the morning shift, like, because it was empty all the time. And the night shift, like, it started going full around 5, like, and it was then open till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. from Monday. And yeah, so they wanted to close the morning shift, and me and one of my friends were like, no, leave it with us. Like we give us a small budget. I don't know, like on that time it was 200 euros or whatever, per morning. And we're like, we do it. And we're going to play here and we take care of it. And it started getting packed and busy, in 2 months, started getting really busy. And then I called attention. I started getting friend from a guy who's owner of a big club, an important club in Porto called Industria, which was Mario Carvalho. It was a big entrepreneur of the night scene in Porto, like one of the most respected guys. And he lost, like at some point, he needed a guy to do the management of the club, the communication, the lineups and everything. And I offered my service to him, and he was okay, yes. Like he had a lot of people trying to get him the job, but he took the chance. He gave me the chance to show my vision, and it worked quite well. And I never lost this thing of promoting and inviting artists that I like. And I think sometimes I don't, it's not even my own taste. I see that there's a crowd, there's someone, and there's someone, some artists that people are wanting to see, and I can create that moment, and that show, I do it, in terms of in a professional way,
Did you know this back then already, that you had this talent to do this? Because if I may mention that, I just noticed, or I noticed today that today, 27 years ago, I opened my own club. And the sole reason why I did this was because to book myself as a DJ, as no one else would.
What club?
It was the Spin Club in Gießen.
In Frankfurt.
Okay. No, in Gießen, in a little town called Gießen. I wasn't living in Frankfurt at that time. Okay. And I seriously, I mean, my talent of booking people, of doing like the business behind the club was less than zero, obviously. That's why I went bankrupt 1.5 years later. Luckily, I would say.
I found the right partners. Otherwise, I would be bankrupt as well.
No, but you obviously have different talents, and your main goal wasn't to book yourself and to play, right? You wanted to create something. You wanted to create an environment for people to enjoy themselves.
Actually, funnily, the first contacts I was trying to do was for big bands, and for huge names, and everyone, actually, I got some answers, direct forward me to other agencies that they had in Portugal, of course, obviously, and big promoters they used to work in Portugal. But it was funny, to start going directly to big names, and finding their email addresses or whatever, or fax numbers on that time as well. And stalking them, chasing them every day, and getting answers. Yeah, but always at the perspective also of showing, not only never booked an artist only to get him in the DJ booth playing for the crowd. My vision is always try to invite people I like or admire at some point, in some way. And also show them my reality, my town, my crowd. I think that's part of the warm up for the artists. If you understand the culture, you will understand better the crowd for sure. Especially in these kind of places, if you're not playing in a big touristic city or whatever. It's more. You have the roots really, really deep, in a town like Porto, people are really deep and local. They have this kind of local energy that goes, I remember one time, when I was still in Industria, at the end of it, because we start having a lot of problems with the neighbors because of the sound. So the owner was cutting the sub bass frequencies, and the bass frequencies are the monitors were looking like radio monitors, like just mediums and highs, like it was awful. And I was getting really frustrated with that. And but still, like I had guys playing in Lisbon, like in a nice club with a nice sound system, with a good crowd. And then we were coming on the next day, and I was like, after the show, like I feel so sorry about the sound, the quality of the sound. Like I'm really ashamed of that, like, and they're, don't worry, man. I had more fun tonight than yesterday, like, I don't know. So like, I don't know what happened exactly, like, but I think it's the energy of the crowd. They get a different connection with the artists, as well. So sometimes even if the technical conditions are not the best, like there's something that goes above that, like, and makes the experience great,
Yeah, I'm curious for you at that period of time when you're learning how to, learning by doing, how to put on a successful event. What were your metrics of success for an event? Like what constituted a successful event in your eyes that made you want to continue to put on events and make them more successful than the previous event? Was it, a combination of obviously, a return on your investment, or was it, the feedback that you got from the audience? Was it the turnout? What were the metrics? And are those metrics different today with what you do than when you first started out?
Yeah, like in terms of NEOPOP, like it's always a challenge for me, like always.
Why don't you tell everyone about NEOPOP? And then
you started it 2006, obviously, then, right?
Exactly, as anti-pop for the first 3 years.
What's the concept behind anti-pop?
Well, I don't know. Like at the time, it was just the name that came by to my head, like, and it was actually the opposite of pop music for me, like this kind of event. So that's why, like, I showed up with this name, and everyone, my partners on the time, they liked it, and we went through with it. But yeah, actually, it was an idea. Like I was with some friends, like, and with Raul and another partner that's not part of it anymore. It was just the first year, but we were talking about, like, I was having like artists every weekend at the Industria on the club. So like I was like, there's no festival, like, so why don't we do like anything like just for techno and house, like with the like kind of best of the year, and we had some new names and fresh names in the middle, some local names, and we're done like 2 days. And like Raul on the time was like, okay, I get the place, like for free. We can do like 24 hours. We don't have some restrictions or whatever, like we can do whatever we want. And we all started from here. Then after 3 years, like the society, like we the partners changed, like, and we decided like in terms like not like because it was we were being obliged to, but in terms of ethical and in terms of direction, we thought let's give him a new direction. It's gonna call NEOPOP, because it's a new direction for the festival. So, and always was chasing my partners, and telling them that we should start working like daily on this, like, and we should join on the office, and start to do other events as well, like not only NEOPOP. So we all started from here. But like for me, as I said before, like I had all the positions in, like I've been managing an artist, Luis Fozzi, that's most of you know. Like I also did some as an agent and I do for like guys like you, for other promoters in Portugal, and I book artists for other promoters as well. I'm a promoter, and I'm also a raver, like so. So like this for me is always like a big exercise in terms when I'm thinking about my events. Like I try to put on oppositions and try to figure out how can we be better year after year, and also how we can surprise the audience. Like because like I think like NEOPOP is 15 years. Now there's Waking Life, there's Forte, there's Lisbon. There's other festivals in Portugal that can call your attention, And I think by myself, if it was me and I didn't have nothing to do with the business, I would think like, okay, I went to NEOPOP like 10 times already or 5 times. What the fuck? This year I'm gonna try a new one. It's completely fair.
I mean, it must help that you're part of a lot of the sort of weekend sort of daytime festivals, these like 1 day things, I guess, because these are kind of taken over, right, in Portugal and Spain. And I mean, has that had an effect on club life, on the nightclub scene? Before COVID?
Yeah, of course. There's nothing for anyone. No. Before COVID, I don't think so. Like, I think we're in a quite good time for clubbing, for events, for daytime events, for nighttime events. Like Portugal was blowing up. But
I mean, do you think that more people, because you have the option to go to brunch or to these daytime?
I think it's a different crowd actually, and sometimes you go on the afternoon and then you go at night. You keep going, but like daytime, I think you can attract different kinds of audience, like more girly and more clean and sober in terms, I don't know, like I think it's what a lot of events, at least in Portugal, like attract. And even a brunch, it's a different feeling. People are more controlled. I don't know, in a way, like they go wild, of course, they can eat, they are super energetic, but I think it's, daytime it's a different feeling and a different vibe, but I don't think it affects in a negative way the nightclub scene, at all, like. But this COVID shit affects a lot.
we're gonna talk about COVID. Like, just getting back to my original question, what constituted a successful event that you put on? What was important for you as a promoter in terms of walking away from an event the night of, whether it's the next day where you bask in the glory or the aftermath, dealing with the aftermath of an event or something. What made you feel like that was really good? It was a job well done by my team and I can't wait to do it again. Like,
to be honest, never was the financial part of it. I was in the first years of NEOPOP, I was super happy and opening a bottle, if like I was not losing money, like there was a moment of joy, like, like an happiness in between the partners. But I always put the love, like the audience, the experience. I love to see the audience going crazy and be happy and comfortable, like, and having a great sound experience, the artist enjoying, like, and going home like with memories from the food, from the friends they made, from the landscape, like, I think it's all important. It's not only like what this or that, like it's like a lot of stuff, like you get into. And also, like, I think so like never see these, I never always thought about this as a business, like it's there's a lot of love, and the people I like to have working with me, like the other day I had an interview for a new event I'm doing actually, and I was enjoying the guy. I saw his CV and it was 51. I thought maybe he's a bit old, but let's see, like, you never know. And I was enjoying the conversation, at the end I asked him like, hey, what's your reference as a electronic festival? It can be in Portugal or outside Portugal. And it was like, I don't like big audience, like it's too messy for me. And I was like, shit, you just screwed up your chance. But I think, like, as I said, like, always think, like, in different perspectives, not only as a promoter, or not always like as a promoter, like, I always try to put me in different positions, like, and try to understand their perspective, their vision of the event, So I analyze everything, and I go from there, and I try to evolve and to get better, and always, like, for us, like, when we start having profit, it was funny because normally you're like, oh, we start having profit, we're going to keep things like this, like, no, we invest in the profit, or in more of the profit, like, than the profit on the next year, like, more artists, more visuals, more sound, like a bigger stage, a new stage, the camping, like the theater stage, like, we're all trying to find things to innovate, to present new stuff for the people, so people still look at the festival as a new thing, as something exciting, like something that gets your attention, calls your attention.
It is always great to see people doing things first of all for passion, and I see a lot of agreement between David and Mo here, because they're promoters in their own rights in LA, throwing parties almost the same time, right? So 2000. Mo, when did you guys started your party?
We started in 2003, I believe, but it's funny to hear you speak, and I'm just letting you talk because we echo a lot of sentiments and think a lot in a lot of the same ways.
Gustavo, as a promoter, a lot of people, pivoting kind of to the pandemic, a lot of people are being very reflective right now. They're kind of looking at the pandemic as the reset button has been pressed, that a lot of what has been happening over the years has become unsustainable with respect to DJ fees and, like, festivals. And this is a separate question that I wanted to pick your brain about festival culture kind of killing off the nightclub, the typical nightclub, whatever. But, like, do you feel that way about what's happened now? Like, was this the reset that we needed? And unfortunately, it happened under the eyes of pandemic or whatever, which obviously affected everyone. Like, I just wonder. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, which is a great question, which I would love to add. Maybe if you can add it to your answer, like how you felt in the time that you've run NEOPOP of these 15 years, how the behavior and the demands of the DJs have changed up till now. And if what Ali is mentioning, this year is a new reset, that people are going to start in a different attitude again.
Well, this is your moment to stick it to us, the DJs.
Yes, stick it to us. Come on. Your fucking demands with 3 bottles of champagne here.
It was getting mad, like, it was actually getting crazy in terms of... like, I think when I started, like, I was respecting other promoters, other agents that have some kind of exclusivity or relation with the artists, like, nowadays it's kind of jungle, people don't fucking care, like, they come, it's a new promoter coming with a lot of money in the pocket and saying, like, I'm going to do this and that. And, like, some of the agents were picking these shows, like, just for money. But yeah, it was kind of getting, like, a bit too much, like, and too fast. But I don't think it's just in our scene. It's globally, it's the world is going faster, a lot, too much for what it should be, like, in terms of normality, like, when everything is too, like, everything spreads in instantly way, you know. It's just a second, or not even a second, for you to spread an information through the world, or a track, or wherever, you know. So yes, like I think this was good actually for me. I cannot complain, you know. Like I'm having fun with my daughter, you know. Like I'm having different.
Your new father.
Yeah, 2 years.
Ago?
2 years. 2 years. Yeah, just recently. She did recently 2 years. But yeah, I'm enjoying family time, friends as well. Like, of course, some of them more control, others not, but still working. And actually, like I did a lineup for BPM Malta in the middle of the pandemic.
You're crazy, man!
As you guys know, like it was actually
talk about that later.
I can tell it like really quickly, you know, because this was June, you know, like, you know, something, and like we started getting like the Maltese government like wanting us to do something there, like with BPM, blah blah blah, and we're like, why, you know, like why we should do this, you know, like, and we're like, oh no, there's no cases, everything is fine here, blah blah blah, like, and we started doing after some days trying to convince myself this was happening. I started doing bookings. I started doing bookings for the festival, and I noticed one funny thing. Like most of the agents, managers, artists I was talking with, like, of course, happy with this, you know, like, hey, show, like, let's do this, finally something, you know, like. They were happy about it, and they were like, they didn't care, like, fuck, like, Gustavo, we trust you, like, we worked with you for 10 years, that seems reasonable, you know, like, let's do it, however, you know. And some of them were like starting like, what is the hotel, what is the fee, where is it playing, where what's the billing, where's the lineup, the timetable, like
they start resorting to their old way.
Like at some point I was getting really pissed off at some point, like when I was booking someone, you know, like there was a lot of questions, you know, about this booking, and none of them was about music. It was just about a lot of shit, but not about music specifically, you know. So this was getting me fucking tired and, you know, and frustrated with this scene, to be honest, you know. But if you ask me if this is changing a lot, I don't think so. It's going to be like this, you know, on the rap, you know, like when things start going and moving after a month or two, no one will remember about this anymore, and things will start going like TGV speed.
You don't think the people are taking advantage of this pause to correct what was becoming unsustainable over the years, right?
I hope so.
What is it that angers you the most as a promoter, from your perspective, it's just our scene? You know, that you want to, you're able to share honestly with us.
Yeah, I think it's just the respect for what we're actually doing. You know, like not being a dumbass, like just looking for luxury stuff. You know, like and all these requests, you know, like that gets the promoter sometimes crazy, you know. Like it's to work with promoters that you trust, you know, like fucking that you could go to his house to eat, you know, like that you trust him, you know, like you know he's gonna get you a good fee or a fair fee, you know, like he's gonna put you in a nice place, he's gonna take you to a nice place to eat, he's gonna show you nice or introduce you to nice people, you know, he knows you. There's a relation, you know. I think that's the thing you should.
So trusting the promoter.
You should care about, you know, like, and you should protect these relations, you know, more than ever, you know.
Like, how do you feel when, let's say, you recognize that an artist has great potential, you start booking the artists year after year, you develop them in your territory and beyond, and then they start to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then their agent goes with the highest bidder at a certain point.
I
forgets about like all the hard work that you put
Totally. Like
how does that make you feel as a promoter?
I had situations like that, a lot of them.
That's why I asked the question.
But yes, depends. Really depends on the way you deal with this. Like I think honestly,
how does that make you feel? Like
yes, it depends. Really depends. Like if you feel like you're doing it right with me, and you're like keeping a conversation and a relation with me, like makes for me makes completely sense, and it's completely fine. I'm happy for you, like. But if you're going to be an asshole, like, and you go do it in my back or whatever, like, of course I'm pissed off and I want to kill you. I'm gonna tell this guy is a dumbass. He's like, he's not good at all. Like, I'm gonna
how can you make the difference if it's the artist or the agency that is acting out?
Well, like, because like,
are there more asshole agents than artists? Or
I was just about to touch on that subject myself.
That's a difficult question.
Because sometimes it just feels like artists.
No, but like for example, like I tell you one thing, like with Louis Fauci, at some point, I told him, because I have too much going on my side, like, and I told him, like, hey, if you want to go, like in my perspective, in my opinion, if you want to go bigger, like, and go to the next step, you need another manager than me. I cannot give you the time you need. I don't have the contacts you need for that. Like, of course, I can give you some advice. I can get you some budgets for these. Like, but you're gonna spend money. Like real money for these. It's not the same relation we have. Like. But I get, like, I think as a manager, you also have to have this clarity in your mind, in your vision, and to tell the artist, like, okay, for you to go higher and far, like you maybe you have to go to the next level. It's not me. I'm not ready to give you what you need now at the moment. So like, I always this is like a crackhead, like, or an addict to games, like, you always need to know, at least, like, you're addict to games. You need to recognize that, to admit that, And after this, it's much easier for you to deal with situations or issues, like, and because I think like in this area, like, I always try to see where I am, like, and if I'm not ready, or I don't have the right skills or status to do an artist of $500,000 or $1 million or euro, like, I understand that, like, it's another level. I didn't get so far or yet till there, we need to be fair with ourselves as well, and honest.
How much pressure as a promoter do you feel when you're booking your lineups that you have to book big and well-known artists in order to sell tickets? Or is there some sort of fine line where you feel like some sort of freedom where you can book whoever you want to expose new artists and new musicians to crowds? I mean, where's the balancing point in that? Because I feel like once you become a slave to just booking big headliners, then we get into this capitalist situation where the ball is in the court of the managers and they start making the great demands because you have no other choice. You have to play.
Gustavo, how much does social media and social media stats?
I try not to look at it at all. Like, to be honest, I have our stats, of course, but like, and they're always telling me, like, oh, you have to book this one because everyone is asking for him. Like, I don't give a shit. Sorry, I don't give a shit.
That's what I like to hear, honestly.
But NEOPOP, like, Mo, it's actually a balance. It's actually, I see it as the perfect balance for me, or what you actually talking about, like, I have my own rules. Everyone knows the rules. Like, we like, normally artists don't play like every year in a row, like, we have like a pause, like, and we don't repeat artists, like, except one or another, like, but like, and it's actually a balance where I book a lot of artists that sell tickets, like, but also can have some new names that no one knows, like, and some of them made their name in Portugal through NEOPOP, like, and I'm quite happy with that, like, and that for me, it's really a motivation, like, and it keeps me happy, like, and sometimes I'm always taking artists from the bigger stage, neo stage, to the anti stage to show them new names and new artists, like, I think it's a good intersection and a network, we can create there.
Absolutely.
But I totally feel your question, because I know the pressure you have, like, from big agents, like, and they always want to have their artists in, like, every year, like, and trying to get them through the other ones, like, creating like a lot of noise between the friends, like artists that are already friends, like, and even promoters and artists, it's not, I think, like, the agent position, and nowadays it's a weird position, like, if you don't do, you can be really weird, like, if you don't know the artist, if you don't know the promoter you're talking with, like,
I think
it can be a reason
the reason why I asked this question, I've never promoted anything nowhere near the level that you have, so it's not even in relation. But I've always kind of strived when booking artists and keeping in mind for the parties that we have done that I've always wanted to just book who I liked and who I wanted to like. And often you get these things from partners where they're like, well, nobody knows who that person is. But at the same time, I've always kind of strived to be the promoter that I want people who come to my parties to come because they enjoy the party, not come because they want to see the DJs that they want to see. And once your crowd kind of trusts you, that it doesn't matter who you book, your club is going to be packed. You have the power to book your friends, people you look up to, musicians,
your father,
whatever. And then not only that, your heroes who are the big DJs,
totally.
You never have to worry about like, oh, well, this guy's not that big. How many tickets is he going to sell? And I feel like there's so many promoters out there that miss that point. They're always chasing the safest booking.
I have promoters that are like checking your Instagram page or Facebook or your social media pages, and checking in how many friends in common they have, like on that page, and then they book it. They do a top 10.
It seems like the corruption that we all notice that's going on in the dance music world, a lot of it can be solved by the people who attend parties, the dancers. You don't always go to a party just because you want to see your favorite DJ. Go because you want to hear music and you want to learn about new music.
And I have to be honest, sorry to interrupt you, but I have to be honest, in the middle of all this, I already did some events just to get money, then to spend it and to lose it with the artists that I like.
That's true. That's a good point.
I won't tell names. I won't tell the names of the artists I booked for that.
I guess we can guess.
but that happened, but that, I think that's for a good reason,
Sure.
Gustavo. I mean, the business, the booking business is quite, and I agree to you once, and I agree to Ali as well, maybe everyone, once the pandemic is over, the business side, even that we have this reset, it's pretty quickly going to go back to where it was, and the demands will be crazy. But let me play a little bit like a devil's advocate, or you could say maybe DJ's advocate.
So good at devil's advocate. So
it's DJ's advocate. I mean, you're an exceptional promoter, Gustavo, and I've played NEOPOP quite a few times, and everybody who's played there probably instantly feels that this festival is done with a lot of passion, with a lot of thought behind it, with a long-lasting thought, with a bigger idea than only booking the 10 highest-ranking DJs. Just like bringing culture to the people, like offering them something, like something new. What you're saying, but sadly, and that's it's not everywhere like this. And if you, for example, if this is the reset, and I for myself start thinking, okay, I'm going to just get rid of my rider. I don't want to have this bottle of champagne. Although I was thinking to put these wasabi peanut coated peanuts.
I think you better keep the champagne
on my rider. But you know, the thing is, and I'm sure we've all experienced this. If you as an artist, are too forgiving to promoters, and you're too nice, and you're just like, you know what? I don't care about this. I don't care about that.
Fucking ass.
You're gonna get fucked in the ass. You're gonna be like, where
No, not by me.
Do you have something to drink for me? Oh no, we don't. You don't have anything.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
You know what I mean?
With a lot of promoters, I know you would be like that. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly, and there's so much dynamics going on, and then obviously there is a lot of agencies in the middle, and that is always, Ali was asking the question, what your definition of success of an event is. My definition of a success of an event was always that the promoter goes home and is happy with his party and made some money, that the DJ goes home and had a great party and also made some money, and that the audience goes home and said, like, the money that I invested tonight in drinks and entry fee was super worth it. I had a great night. That's the three things that I always feel like is a great party.
Yeah, totally. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, and the thing is that this rarely is achieved. Sadly, sometimes there's a lot of obstacles.
I'm not saying, like, of course, like you should forget or like don't ask for kind of things that make you comfortable and make you more.
No, I'm not saying
motivated. No, I understand, but I understand your point. But also, like, when I say, like, for example, in a relation with an artist or with a promoter, like what I was saying in the back, like, for example, I work with you and you start to get bigger, and your agent at some point tells me, like, Gustavo, you're a super nice guy, like, but you're only doing like parties for 500 or 600 people, like we need more. Are you able to do more? Are you able to present us a plan to do more? Like, I think that's the way it should work,
Yeah.
in my perspective, like, so, like, if I say, like, okay, like, forget it, like, I'm going to keep doing 500, 600 parties. I'm sorry. Good luck, Like, maybe in 5 years, like, you're going to come and it's like, oh, let's play another one of that, like, and we're back to this guy, like, makes sense, like, but if you're growing as well, like, if you're presenting bigger shows, if you present plans and options for that artist to grow with you, like, and to do bigger shows and to get a bigger audience and more and different audience and crowds, depending on the plan and for the artist, like, I think this is something you should grow together, unless there's problems in the middle.
But my question is, you cannot grow together with all the agencies out there. There's new agencies popping up here and there.
Course.
My question would be, do you understand also these dynamics, that there's agencies out there who cannot make a difference between the trustworthy promoters and the not trustworthy promoters, so everybody gets treated basically the same way? No, we want these yellow M&Ms on 50 of them in a glass in the green room, and they tell you that, but they also tell everyone else that. How do you deal with that? Can you make that difference?
50, I will put someone counting the 50 yellow M&Ms on a cup for sure.
Yellow.
Yeah,
Chris.
Whatever.
Chris.
I will do that shit, like, I will do that shit. I did, like, worst, like, or I had people doing worst for me,
So what's the strangest thing on all of your guys' riders?
I was just gonna ask.
Man,
you don't have to name the DJ, but what is the most outlandish thing that you've seen on a rider that you're just like, what the fuck are they thinking? I'm not gonna do that.
a lemur.
A what?
What?
A lemur. A lemur.
A lemur.
Yeah, I was thinking about the hardware or the animal, like, and I was sending emails to the logistics team, like, asking, what the fuck you want with the lemur, like, you want the hardware, or you want the animal.
But it was the hardware, right?
No, they were not answering me because it was not on the technical rider, it was on the hospitality rider, like. And once I didn't do this show, and I called my friend was hosting the artist and his tour manager, And I was like, fuck, please ask them what the fuck they want the lemmer, because we didn't put any lemmer in the end, we ignored, we didn't have any feedback, so we ignored it. And they start laughing, and it was a bet between the tour manager, and they were American. And I think there's a lot of therapies nowadays with lemurs. And they were like, it was a bet between them, like who was the first promoter to put a lemur on the backstage, on the dressing room. So it was a stupid thing.
Hey Chris, what's the weirdest thing that's on your rider where you're like, I don't really need this, but I'm just putting it on there anyway?
It's actually a negative. It's a negative thing. I hate Heineken beer, and there's no Heineken beer allowed on my stage.
Oh wow! On the stage.
Wow.
Anywhere, green room stage. But it's really.
How do you handle that? How does that happen when you're playing a festival in Amsterdam?
It's rarely looked after. Sometimes I open the fridge and it's like full with Heineken beer, and I'm just like, no.
What about you, Ali?
Yeah, let's get around here.
I've got socks and underwear. And, and
fair enough.
I don't even. It's not a thing.
Used underwear.
No, like new underwear and new socks, because
sorry guys,
you're on such a crazy tour, and maybe you're only packing carry-ons and you don't have enough clean socks and underwear in between shows.
So do you specify brand and color then, Ali?
It's got to be black, obviously.
Keeper.
Yeah, it could be athletic socks, any socks, and Calvin
Klein underwear.
Oh.
But,
exactly.
But let me just say, like, I never. It's not something that me or my tour manager enforce. It's something where if it's there in the green room, because sometimes a promoter, like, I'm surprised at every gig about how much or how little promoters actually pay attention to the hospitality rider.
But
some places you don't expect them to have certain things or to do certain things to meet the demands of us. And they go above and beyond what they need to do. And other places you're just shocked that like major cities and stuff, that we couldn't get you this, we couldn't get you that. But I'm never like, oh, I'm not playing because you didn't get me my socks and underwear. I'm just like, I'm happy.
What kind of socks? Green socks.
Ali, my old agent, when I was sober back in, I think, 2015, my old agent would always put a bottle of champagne on the rider.
Yeah.
And
What was that?
This is when I was working with Marco from Artists Alive.
Marco Stark, Marco Stark.
He's lovely. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, no, I love him. Yeah.
But the thing is, I always thought actually that the whole champagne thing, it's like, I don't want a bottle of champagne. And also seeing DJs drinking champagne in a techno club is the most stupid fucked up thing ever. It looks so ridiculous. The
fucking Matt, if I may add to this, one time an agent told me, because I didn't want to have the champagne on my rider either. And then the agent told me, if you don't put that champagne on the rider, the promoter's not going to take you serious. And that's where we are.
What?
That's where we are again. Yes.
Do you remember, Chris, though? Do you remember Lindy dropping a bottle of champagne on the floor in space? Remember that? And it dropped,
yes.
A whole bottle of Magnum champagne, dropped on the floor and then exploded in the booth.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was blood and shed and everything.
I have a friend who sent me a message with a quick story about the port wine. As most discoveries, it came from the mix of an error and competition. The Douro wine was already being sold mainly to English in Porto.
Oh, wow.
And the best wine was the most alcoholic ones, as they could face the shipping and arrive to the consumer in order to drink. Alcohol is one of the factors that give longevity to the wine. And the Douro wine from the deep hills of the valley by the river is very alcoholic, around 15 degrees. So that was the best product to sell to the English. And people from the upper hills that get a less alcoholic wine from the lower temperatures above found a way to trick the English buyers. They added brandy to the wine.
Oh my goodness.
Brandy is the aguardiente, like or the kind of grappa, Portuguese grappa. Somehow something went wrong, and someone added brandy before fermentation was over. So
that's the story I heard.
This killed the yeasts and left the wine sweet, and the English loved it.
Wow.
And
That's
they
the story I
began
heard.
refining the technique till the wine we have now, sweet and 20 degrees alcohol level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Vasco. Thank you, Vasco.
Thank you.
Yeah, but so the conclusion is the breeds like mistakes, right? They go well. They go.
David, it's the same with IPA, right?
Oh,
Gustavo,
the method somewhat similar, yeah.
Because the English wanted to send it to India, and they needed to
India.
have a lot of alcohol, so they had really a lot of beer.
Yeah.
A lot of concentrated beer, and then it got to India, and they were like, "Fuck it, we drink it like this. It's better."
Yeah.
I love how our conversations swing from like really shallow shit about alcohol to like, well, it's not shallow because it's obviously we call it the show DJs and Beers because we love our alcoholic beverages, but like it swings from one pendulum to another. But getting
Ali, are we swinging too much?
I'm swinging.
We certainly swung off of the what was it, the rider topic? That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But Gustavo, returning to a more serious topic, there's been a lot of discussion and debate about gender and racial diversity within our industry, with respect to lineups and things like that. In the past, or as a result of this pause, reset, whatever you want to call it, have you, were you conscious of that in how you put together how you curated your lineups in the past? Was it something that you and your team sat down and factored into the equation? And if not, has this pause and the dialogue that's been had in our industry created
an alarm, or like a mind
an alarm or a renewed, I wouldn't use the word alarm, a renewed
call,
approach. A renewed approach. Like, would you say that, I'll be honest, like I saw this interview that Jerry Seinfeld gave when he was asked about, like, there was something going on with certain comedians and sexual accusations and all this other stuff. And I don't remember the context of the conversation, but he was talking about, look, like, all I care about is, like, are you funny or are you not funny? If you're not funny, I'm interested. I'm not interested. If you're funny, I'm interesed. Like, but that's race, that's completely not my point. Gender, sexual orientation, whatever. Never factored into any of his.
Not at all. For me, I never.
So I'm asking you that question as a promoter.
Yeah, like for me, annoys me a bit. The kind of subjects. I understand they are important, of course. I'm aware of the attention that needs to be to get to the spotlight on it. But for me, personally, I never book an artist because of the gender or of his orientation, his color or whatever. I try to respect the roots and the culture and the history of that label or that crew or that city or that kind of music. That's one thing. Like, for example, Detroit. You study that, and what are the guys you want to book. Like, you studied Chicago, the guys you want to book from Chicago, or like doing something close to that, New York, like Berlin, London, whatever, Manchester, Liverpool, like whatever, like you I think you should respect the origins, the roots of that kind of music or what was behind that, in terms of like having, like, doing rates, like you have to book the gay artists or what, LGBT or black guy or whatever. I don't give a shit. Sorry, man. and you can, and I'm sorry for being so honest on these, like, but I want never, like in my events, in my original events, I had to do this, for other events that have their own rules, like in their own politics. But my politics is music, like, and I don't give a shit, like, I don't care, like, I book the artists for the music they do, for the music they play, like, and the way they are with the crowd, that you can be a dumbass, like, and normally if I have that kind of experience or I don't have a connection with an artist, normally I don't have the intention or the motivation or the will to book him again, like, even if he's doing really well. I had a lot of that cases in my professional life,
But Gustavo, do you think that, like, moving forward when things get back to normal, I mean, do you think the reference point for maybe a younger audience, say 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, who maybe don't have the roots or the experience, the kind of rooty club culture, do you think that, I mean, their the reference points are much more visual now, right? And
more digital. And unfortunately, I'm afraid, like, one of the things I start looking at when this pandemic started, and I was already like figuring out, I was not doing any event in summer, and I was not doing any event in general for the next months. I was watching what's going around in game platforms and blah, 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 and internet. And I was like, and it was quite early. Like, I was trying to figure out, and I did some research on virtual events and virtual life, virtual reality events, So, and I read an article that was saying, like, the millennials, they prefer to have a digital experience and to spend money on a digital experience than a physical one and a real one, And this, like, gets me really worried, because there's a point, like, I have already friends that they are with you like the whole day. You can be traveling with them on the same car and they don't tell you shit. And then after one day they get to the hotel, you're in the rooms next to each other and they texting you like a big testament, like a big text, like telling you what's going on in his head, like, and I only reply like, why the fuck don't you talk with me? We can talk, face to face, like, or even call, like we are talking now. Like, it's different. We can see each other's, we can see reactions, we can see. It's not the best solution, but it's still a good one, because we see each other, and like, I think, like, a lot of people will be shy and afraid to talk and to have relations to each other, close, more intimate. And of course, this pandemic is helping, unfortunately,
That's what I was.
But so you're doing everything right now. I mean, my friends Bruno, Trick, and Katerina, they went back to Porto for Christmas, and they said everything's open, right? And then pretty much.
And no, like it was open, like not bars and clubs. Bars were open, like in a different.
But the shops and cafes and stuff.
Yeah, everything was open, but everything closed now. Like
today,
everything was already like 80% lockdown till today. And today they announced new measures, like new restrictions, like schools are closing from tomorrow as well. So like,
so are you hopeful for the summer with your
like I got worried. I know, like this is from this period, like we always thinking like, let's see how it goes there. But and we're optimistic. Like, I think there's something we can do in summer different from last year without tables and seated places or whatever.
But besides the rules, Gustavo, would you be afraid if there is still people wanting to listen to and dance physically to this music still? I mean, our audience here, obviously they're interested and everybody can't wait to go to parties. I know guys you don't need to mention that in the comments now. But maybe the majority of people have just diverted to gaming, to other things. Our producer Justin was just basically writing here, digital will never take over real life. Let's hope he's right. But would you be also worried about that we've lost a lot of fans of that music?
I think it's I don't think so. You know, like at least for now, we don't have signs of or at least a sight of that happening. You know, like I hope. You know, like at least
how do you measure that?
I don't see it. But like as it's a nice question and a really interesting one, because I'm not close to everyone now as I was.
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
So
we don't know.
I can feel that. But at the same point, I get a lot of feedbacks from people, you know, like, and I'm paying attention to what's going on, and I see there's a lot of divided people, you know, like people that they say like, oh, I'm fine with this, you know, like an F party at home with some friends, and I'm comfortable with this. Normally, the older people, you know, that's or are already tired of raving, you know, like, and they feel comfortable with this. But I'm sure, like in the future, they will get this small devil inside their head going, like saying like, go to a rave, you know, and they will go. You know, but I going back to the question about the young generation, you know, the kids, you know, like I think it's a normal process, you know, like they're always gonna start from something more harder and more, I don't know, more specific, you know, more commercial, more global, more mainstream, and then they will start getting more specifically and going to their keen taste and more personal taste, you know, like and somehow diverging for more underground kind of music or not, you know. That's the normal thing. I don't think, because even the music, it's always connected with this gaming thing, you know, like, as you know. So like we always evolved in making people have a new experience and nice experience somehow, you know.
What are you guys talking about? Like, are you talking about the virtual world, whether that's going to take over the real thing? Is that what you?
I think we've had this discussion a few times on the show before.
Like, is that the question? No. People want to fucking go to a rave, and they want.
Okay, but now can I ask you a question for you guys? Now it's my time. It's my turn. So like we had the analog, okay? We had the digital. What's next?
The Tesseract. I don't know. We're getting philosophy.
The Tesseract. It's the Tesseract. That's the best answer.
I think. Go ahead.
Sensorial.
No,
They don't think.
What I was going to say is definitely throughout the years, I've noticed the internet has, for younger generations, has allowed people to have a lack of development in social skills. And I think that touches on what you were saying, how some people rather text than actually have phone calls, because being able to interface with other people, you can avoid a lot of like uncomfortable, you know, social skills that are required to communicate with people. But, and this pandemic has certainly played a larger role in it. But I've noticed that, and I'm sure all of you guys can agree, human beings in general always want what they can't have the most. You know, if you're a type of person who's a blonde, you're always dyeing your hair to be a brunette. And if you're a brunette, sometimes you want to be blonde. If you have straight hair, you curl your hair. If you have curly hair, you straighten your hair. I'm just saying,
if you have no hair, you want hair.
Oh my God, put that hat back on. No.
So what I'm saying is that like people have been in lockdown for such a long period of time. I do believe that there's going to be a great desire to want to come out and party again by all means. But I will say this.
They will
I think
kill
all
for
of
a
us,
party.
yeah, I think all of us are kind of living in a fantasy world because we always constantly refer to saying, when the pandemic's over, when the pandemic's over, when the pandemic's over. And we talk about it like it's a light switch. Like we're going to flip the switch and we're all going to go back to clubbing.
We all wish it was, you know.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be an incredibly slow process where things start building up again.
But that
over
sense
a period
of like
time.
People will kill for a party. It's really appropriated, like for the time. For illegal parties, promoters.
But there's gonna be a crossing point where there's promoters who are going to be taking a chance to throw events, and there's going to be people who are too paranoid to go out. I mean, it's going to be a slow process before we build up.
But I had that's like initially, like I was like the first thing I thought, and I comment to my partners are like, fuck, I'm already seeing houses to rent and to do private parties. I don't give a shit. Let's do it.
No, but like Gustavo, like this.
Let's do it the old way, the old way, like. And then I start thinking, as I'm not a kid anymore, like I have connections with the government, with the city halls, with the health authorities. We cannot do this kind of shit. Like it's not.
And you probably have some sort of responsibility towards elderly people who might get infected because of one of your parties.
For everything, like we cannot. Could be like responsibly, we cannot be doing this, like it was not making sense anymore. I'm not 18 anymore or whatever, that's simple as that.
I mean, have there been a lot of illegal parties during last year in Portugal?
And I had a lot of invitations to play at, and I was refusing all of them because I was always thinking like, if the police gets there and like TVs and magazines, like I'm done, like for me it's really bad, like, and I could not accept, but they were calling me every week for parties all around.
Gustavo, there's obviously throughout this whole ordeal, there's been a lot of DJs that have been playing private parties or legal parties, lots of illegal parties. How, like, we're putting on the BPM Malta event, right? You talked about it a little bit before. What was the criticism that you got, and how do you feel about criticism lobbed against you? I mean, obviously as DJs, when we accept to do something right now during a pandemic and our name's on a flyer, there's going to be certain people that are not happy with that. There's going to be.
It's like religions. It's like religions, man. Like I totally get you.
Like, there's industries that call each other out. Like most notably. Go ahead.
Once I was in ADE. I was having a dinner with a guy was Muslim, the guy was Christian, the guy was Buddhist, and they were talking about religions. And I didn't talk about anything, and they will ask me, "Hey, Gustavo, what about you? What's your religion?" It's like, my religion is the one that respects all of your religions. You're like, and this way, like nowadays, of course, sometimes I can disagree with something, but I respect you. I respect the artists who want to play. Of course, if you ask me if I agree, it's a different thing. But I'm not criticizing them on social media or calling them or texting them, "You're an idiot, fuck you," like you're a dumbass, like sending bad energy, like in bad for the guy, or even losing my time with that,
Yeah.
So I think we have to respect everyone, like I had different kind of reactions with people, like saying hello, like, and people like, or like getting distant from me, like, and saying hello from far, or like people that want to come and hug me, like I don't give a shit. I respect, and people have to respect also my position and my point of view, of course. But I try to respect others people's vision and not to criticize like freely, or like just because I don't have anything else to do, like that's, I think I always say, like, I'm a huge defender of freedom and human rights, like, but I always say, like, internet, like gave a lot of, like, for a lot of people gave more freedom than they deserve, or they know how to use, Unfortunately, like there's a lot of people that don't know how to use their free speech right, like, or they don't know how to use their freedom, properly, like this is something for some people that should come with like a manual,
I think a lot of people use
with a manual,
Right.
you know, like, fuck, it's like, what's going on, man? Like, I think you have to be reasonable, you know, like, and honest with yourself, like from the start, you know, like, and then things go.
And to add to that, I think a lot of people also speak without consequence too. There's like no fear of consequence for what they say.
Yeah.
And usually, I mean, there's a reaction to every action you make, but I think people lack that. But I think when it comes down to this pandemic, I think it's more than just about respecting what everybody wants to do, because I don't
respect like everything at all, you know, but like in this specific point we're talking about doing shows or not, or parties or not, you know, like, okay, there's certain limits as well. Like, for instance, I had like during summer, I never called the police because of noise or something, or a party going on next to my house, or whatever. Never in my life. Yeah. Of course.
It would be bad karma.
No, but the other day I arrived home like around 11:30, and I have a big house next to my apartment, and I have a terrace, and I have the garage on the back of the building, blah, blah, blah. And I came in with my daughter and my wife, and I got out from the car, and I was like, fuck, what's going on here? Like a big party, you know, like, and it was supposed I was not doing parties or events because of the pandemic, you know, like, and it was 11:30, you know, at night, Saturday night. And I was like, I told my wife, like, fuck, man, what's going on here? Like, illegal party, a lot of noise from people talking. And I was like, it's 11:30, no one calls the police. And I was like, and she was like, no one cares. What the fuck? And I got in, and I picked my dog, and I went out to the street. I crossed through the house. I looked the number. I called the police. I don't feel bad about it, you know. Like, you know why? Because my wife was like, "You called the police? It's not from you, you know." Like, you know, like, Mariana, I'm stopped like since March, you know. Like, my last party was with Laurent Garnier in March, you know, like, and now I'm stopped. I'm not doing events. So why the fuck these guys are doing like illegal parties? The street was full of cars, you know, no police comes here. I called the police, and we're like, oh, so what do you want to complain about? And I was like, it's the noise. And it was like, fuck, you don't know the rules. There's like, I'm talking about illegal party going on here, like more than 30, 40 people at least, you know. And they were like, oh, do you want us to check it? And I was like, are you kidding me? You know, like, no, like, I will come there. Don't worry. You know, like, I will come there and stop it. And then you'll see on the news on the next day. You know, it's like,
you're supposed to stay at home, aren't you? In Portugal, you're supposed to stay at home at the weekends, right? It's just
recently, like from the past months, yes. Yeah. You know, like, I was giving classes like in the morning, because from 1 p.m. you normally I would give like Saturday afternoon, 3 hours, but they changed it, and I was there was everything had to close at 1 p.m. maximum on the weekend. But now everything is closed supposedly, but I see a lot of people in the streets still, like, and again, you know, like, I really respect freedom, but I think people, like, they abuse on this shit, you know, like, especially in Portugal, because they don't have a guy military outside with a gun,
especially
pointed.
I think everybody in the world is
pointed to their heads, you know, like, so they came out the first time, they don't see police, they don't get stopped by police. They're like, okay, oh, this is super easy, I can do whatever I want, you know, like, so everyone is going out and doing their own life the same way, you know, and they don't give a shit. And they don't even think about these fucking guys who are promoters, that they think we are completely rich and full of money, because we make a lot of money with the thousands and thousands of people we have in the events, and we don't pay anyone, of course, and no taxes, nothing, you know, like, and they don't even think about us and the artists that propose them, and they offer them good moments, good experience, good memories, you know, like, they don't give a shit. You know why? Because when they get out from the couch, you know, there will be another artist, another promoter, another agent, whatever, another club, another restaurant opening for them. So they don't give a shit. They don't think about, like, a lot of people. I don't say, of course, everyone thinks like this,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like a lot of people, they don't give a shit. They always complaining when they see these guys asking for help from the government. They're like, fuck you. You're completely rich. You made money, you're having fun, blah, blah, blah. It's like, fuck you. Like, you're an asshole. They have completely ridiculous reactions, And like like Matt, like, and Ali, you were talking about a nice point in the beginning. There's something like we were fighting for since the beginning, like here in Portugal, and always trying to warn people, because we see each other's like a good help to the government to control the pandemic, to help on the logistics, on the vaccination, like in talking with people, communicating with people, because we do this like for 20 years, like we're close to the people. People respect us. Like, it's not like government, It's like government. You always think like, this guy is shitting me. Like, they want us to do what they want, like they want. And we are close to the people, like, why the fuck, instead of just giving us money, because people don't, I don't think, like, for at least for me, I don't want to be sit down at home, like, and just getting funds and helps from the monetary helps. Like, I want to help. I want to do something, like we can be useful on this process, like, and they could be smart enough to have us, like, okay, this area, this sector is completely stopped. Let's pick these guys and employ them and give them money.
You guys are logistics masters. I mean, putting on a festival is
communication, man. Like,
exactly,
we are like, when I say us, I say you guys as well, because artists are like a big chain, like, and a big connection with the crowd, like, so these guys don't think, they're always like, especially in Portugal, I've seen like Germany, for example, if they're doing that, they're doing it right, in my opinion, But Portugal, they always like, they don't see like too far, like they just see what they have in front of their eyes, and they don't look around, like they cannot look around. They just look at what's going on here,
Gustavo, as a promoter, what kind of guidance and support have you received from the Portuguese government, if any?
And it's been always a bit late, but funnily, I had a talk with a friend, he owns a club today, and he had like a comment like this. He was like, "Man, do you think maybe these guys took more time than was supposed? So the ones that don't matter, they fall down. Like the promoters and the business guys,
kill off the week, kind of like
exactly.
Natural selection.
That's totally. And now that they feel the good ones are still here, they're gonna support them. And they've been slow in reaction, but I cannot complain. There's a lot of people complaining, and I think they've been doing what they can, like when they can. And I always I always try to put myself in other people's position, and I wouldn't want to be in a prime minister or health minister or position right now, like right now or the past year, like it should be like a massacre, like a torture, like to decide and to take decisions. Or it could be based on what other countries do, but it's still you're taking a decision, that will affect, like in our case, 11 million people or whatever, like it will affect a lot of people, not only you, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. So like, it's not easy to be on there. Like you were talking about left and right, like in Portugal is also like, and I think all countries are living in kind of a political crisis nowadays, because people are pretty wasted and tired, like of this political system that's going on. Like I to friends, I always say like we live a false democracy, because like I think like you're always, this is like a trap, like it's like mouses. You have to go on that direction, like you can go on different directions too, but just make it an illusion you can go in that direction, so like left and right nowadays for me it's all the same. It's like kind of the music thing, like it's you start to have trance, techno, house, Eurodance, like hard dance, like all is getting close to each other, and it's kind of a fusion between all these genres. Like in the politics, it's the same. At the point they get to that position where they have some power, they get corrupted. Otherwise, they will get out from that position really fast.
Yeah.
For a reason or another, it can be true, or it can be a fake reason. That's why you're getting out from that position. I've seen that happening a lot. In a more small scale, in a Portuguese scale, in my reality, but I've seen that happen. So like I tried, like, to be honest, I see all this happening, but at some point I try to be like apart from this and not to think too much, and it's just do my way and believe in my vision, in my things I defend, like, and I want to see valued, like less friendship, like music, food, like being honest, drinking, like sharing, like that's what the things, like the most principal things I need and I want to see. I want to focus on, or what at.
Gustavo, like you started out by putting on events in nightclubs, and over the years you became quite successful at putting on like big festival events, notably NEOPOP. What would you like? Festival culture, festivals have kind of become the dominant force in our industry. They've kind of killed off the nightclub or pushed aside the whole nightclub concept. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why are the crowds more prone to save their money for a festival event as opposed to going to the local club where a really great DJ is playing like an open to close set? I mean, have nightclubs, do you feel like nightclubs, the concept of a nightclub, has it evolved alongside the kind of spectacle that you typically see at a festival these days, whether it's Tomorrowlands or Time Warp or NEOPOP or whatever?
I see your point at all. Like,
why? I'm trying to understand why, from your perspective, why.
No, there's a big. Sometimes I have even friends that are promoters from clubs, like complaining to me, like, "Fuck you guys from festivals, like you destroy all the scene. We want to do some artists and we can't because you pay more, blah blah blah." And it's like, wait, like normally, what I do with the artists, as you guys probably know, like when I go to ADE. Normally, I plan the next year, like I plan, like, for example, Ali or Chris, like, or Matt, like, we should do like, already get a plan normally for the agents I work with, like, we should do this festival or 1 or 2 festivals, 2 or 3 club shows, and 1 off-location event, and it's done. Depending, of course, on the country, on the scene, how big is the scene. But again, like, I think club scene, it should never be forgotten, because it's something that feeds the festivals and the big festivals. Yeah.
But do you think? I think totally. My question is more like, do you think club owners, for all these years that the festivals have been growing in popularity, and trying to create like this insane immersive experience where people feel like they're free to dress up in a costume and go into an environment and be a different person. Kind of like the way people approach Burning Man. Do you feel like club owners are asleep at the wheel, or have been asleep at the wheel all these years?
No, I don't, it depends. Like it's the, of course I cannot speak for everyone, but a lot, like this was also like a wake up call for them. Like they need to redefine, like to redesign their concepts for the clubs, like for their lineups, for the communication, everything.
And also, I'm curious in your point of view, like what would that look like? How would you feel? Like how would you design the club of the future as a festival?
I've seen, for example, like Gar, which I founded and I opened Gar, but I left after 5 years. But I've been close to them. And one thing I was telling them for a long time, when this fight between names started, in between clubs and events and blah blah blah, I was always telling, even when I was there, like I was telling like Philippe, my partner, and I was telling them like, man, forget about the big names on the weekend. Like book just big names. Okay, they're expensive, but book them for Wednesday or for Thursday. And they have audience for that, so people will come on that days and will pack a club, and they will pay for the artists on the door, and it will be a nice show. Blah 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 blah. And then on the weekend, you have to make your audience loyal, like in terms of music, like you can do like more freestyle programmation on Wednesday, on Friday, and you can go more techno or, but like bad, like you have to put like local talent, like not get expensive prices, and get like a loyal audience for the weekends, and this took a while for them to do this, and actually they start doing it, and now like it's actually one of the clubs that will not be much affected for this stop, because they're like a good balance in financially balance for when they close in March. And when they open, they will keep doing this kind of stuff, like not going crazy with big names where what they were doing before, and sometimes things were going well, and sometimes the next day you were spending like in 10,000 euros in an artist, you were having a loss of 8,000 or whatever, like it was completely like up and downs, I think there's a big stigma and a big idea that festivals are killing the club scene, but I don't agree at all or completely with that, because as I said, like I'm a promoter on big festivals or bigger events, but also I keep working with small promoters, I keep working with clubs and following what's going on there, and yes, like there's a lot of clubs like Gar or Lux, for example, that are starting to think like, why should I give a fuck and try to like be like beating an artist, with a new promoter or a festival or whatever, when I can do the artists I like, and I still have my loyal crowd, and I don't need to go crazy in terms of fees, that can happen, I always say like the past year, like the past 2 years, like sometimes when I have this kind of discussion or with agents or managers, I always say there's a lot of new artists, man. Like I can easily, when I started, like for example, there was a lot of other promoters, older promoters, agents, like in Portugal, like the dinosaurs, as I call them, like they were huge and they could bite me and make me disappear in 1 second.
How do you kill off the dinosaurs and remain the
I did a different path.
You're the meteorite, right?
Yeah, I started like on that time. To be honest, I was already looking for different artists than there were the ones that were playing here all the time. And suddenly I booked one artist that you all probably know, Atta from Playhouse, Clank, Robert Johnson, and we became really good friends. And and Atta on that time told me forget these kind of old school guys at the moment, like the Little Wee Vegas or whatever, they were blowing on that time, Eric Morillos or what the fuck, go on another direction, like he was telling me on the time, Michael Myers, Super Pitcher, guys that I never heard about, and it kind of opened me a door for a new dimension, a new specter, a new variety of artists, that no one knew and no one was aware in Portugal about it, so I started booking other artists and I started listening to it and enjoying it. This is fresh, this is different, and suddenly I was fighting against these big dogs, and big artists, and my party was much more packed and busier because people were...
You were going against the grain, yeah. So
people were curious. So at certain point, all this, even to my partners, I don't give a shit about who the fuck, of course, again, I respect big artists and artists I worked for a long time, but I was getting to a point, I was telling them, at some point, I will go in a different direction again, or I will start doing something that makes me happy with, that makes me get a feeling that I'm doing the right thing, and the booking the artists I like, the artists I believe in, and just not looking about how many tickets they sell or how many people they will bring or whatever, what status that artist can give to you, it's not the success or the feeling of getting the job done is not only about the number of people you're getting to your parties, if you're feeling you're doing the right thing for you or not,
Gustavo, when things restart, have you, over the last year, have you had time to reflect on how you were doing things in the past? I mean, you seem like you've always had a good grasp of your vision in terms of how you put on an event, who you prefer to book, your kind of business and creative strategy. You've had a lot of time now.
It's not actually a proper business. I don't think it is.
You don't think about it.
I don't think and don't see it like a business strategy. Of course, in the middle, or unconsciously, you have to think, because you think in the competition, you think in getting you in the
you become more successful, and it becomes
you keeping you on that level, of course that stalks you and also chases your thoughts, but I always see it in a very honest, in very genuine way, it can sound artificial or too much, but it isn't, isn't, I had a lot of arguing, discussions with partners, with friends about it already in the past, and I will keep having them, about what I feel it's right or not, for example, this summer, I had a lot of promoters doing parties, with tables, with seated people, and I was like, come on, if it was to do this, I would be organizing weddings and baptisms, I don't want to do techno parties for seated people, in tables, just doesn't make sense. I will open my restaurants, I will start cooking or open a guest house or what the fuck, it's not what I what get me passionate about this, you know.
But like, have you had time to reflect on how you've done things, and when we restart again, what kind of a landscape we're, you know?
Yeah, I think I will just be. I won't lose time with things I don't believe at. You know, like I think I will be more stuck to my beliefs. You know, to my vision. You know, like, and I will not lose time, or I will, when I'm not happy, I will for sure like let you know I'm not happy with it.
And the other part of this question is like, as a promoter, and there's a lot of promoters spread throughout the world that are faced with this obstacle. Like, how are you in a holding pattern right now? Are you able, or have you plugged in certain events in the future when you think things will kind of start to return to normal, or are you in a complete holding pattern? I'm sure you have agents contacting you saying, you know, what's happening with this event or that event. Are you doing it? Like,
I was trying to make a series of shows, you know, like of events in theaters, like more AV shows, you know, like experimental electronic things that make sense for seated people, you know, to be watching or listening to, you know. And I was preparing like in a different model. I was proposing artists a different business model, you know, for all these shows. And I had a lot of people already giving a good feedback and being interested in being part of it. But then like things start going crazy again, like, and we start seeing this closing again, everything, you know, like, and everything was jeopardized. But yes, when this starts to get normal, like even like, for example, I'm already discussing with a lot of other friends, promoters from all around the world. And some of them are already, how do you say?
Are you looking at 2022 right now, or are you looking at like?
No, I'm still looking at 21, but like I have a lot of promoters that are already like convinced, you know, like, and they do big festivals that are convinced that they're not having events in summer. I think we're gonna be able to do something. Not as we used to do, but with some restrictions in terms of capacity, maybe in terms of admission with the quick tests and everything, you know, like. But I think, like, for example, NEOPOP, and I was talking with my technical directors the other day, and I was telling them, like, probably like start thinking about this, like, for in a reduced way, you know, like in a different experience, you know, more close, more intimate, maybe for less people, you know, like we don't need big stages. We're gonna maybe start getting people around the artists, you know, like, I don't know, like, of course we need to contain and to spend less money this year, you know, because like one year of, like, if we have one edition now, for example, the expenses in our budget will be normally is for 1 year, and in this case will be 2 years or 3 years or whatever, you know. So it's always adding, you know, like and I think for like I see us like as reasonable and serious promoters that always look for the sustainability of our company and our group and our events, and at the same time keep respecting the crowd and giving conditions to the crowd and giving conditions to the artists to perform, you know. Like, of course I won't put you playing like for with some Bluetooth speakers, you know, like but
what kind of innovation do you think it's going to take for you to be able to put on an event, you know, as we slowly navigate through people getting vaccinated, you know, slowly coming out of it, not normal. What kind of innovation as
I think like you had the yellow fever passport or document or other vaccines or something, Like it's obvious. I think that we'll have like something like a sanitary passport for this shit, you know, like, or however, or you're tested, or you vaccinated, or you added like in the past months.
Is this dialogue happening right now within?
Right now in Portugal, like there's no dialogue at all. You know?
No dialogue at all.
They're just going crazy and freaking out with the chaos that's installed in the hospitals and the health service. So you're not even in their realm of thinking. No, we have like there's a work group already between promoters and the culture minister and the health service, you know, like, but still quite recent. It was the first meeting was last week, and they were just telling everyone like that's before March, April, they won't have news for the promoters in terms of events for the summer, you know. The Skin Linda. Oh, that's a classic, man. Fuck.
I have a big one back there too. You can see it right there.
Before
that's a big one, yeah. Guys, I need to go to the bathroom for.
Gustavo, we're gonna wind it down now. Anyways, I would just have one last. Or maybe the other guys have a question too, but I have one last question. It's a pre-pandemic question, and it's about the drug laws in Portugal. I'm a big proponent of legalizing and regulating all drugs. And apparently Portugal is leading the way in the world. Could you just quickly say like how the rules are and how those rules have changed the club and festival culture?
We decriminalized, we didn't legalize it, but we decriminalized it. What this means is that you can have, I think it's till 5 grams of hash and 20 grams of weed and 2 grams of cocaine or heroin with you without being considered like a drug dealer or you're smuggling drugs, you know.
Has that changed anything for you as a promoter pre-pandemic?
No, it changed like in terms of the society, you know, like highly, because we had a big problem with heroin, you know, in the end of the 90s. Yeah. And this completely changed in terms of crime, in terms of safety in the streets. You know, like and what you see in the streets, it's a big, huge difference since then. And
so it got better.
And people, much better. And the rate of people addicted to heroin and drugs like really came down. And it's funny you talk about this because actually. Like I say these and people sometimes laugh about it. I even said to my mother, like, come on, why the fuck drugs are not decriminalized, legalized? Not, I say all kinds of drugs, just in a perspective of like having more conditions for everyone, you know, for the consumer, for the addict or whatever, you know, and also talk about whores, you know, like in prostitution, you know, like in general, you know, like I think you can get more in terms of sanitary conditions. It's much better in terms of safety for the prostitute or for the client. It's much better, you know, in terms of disease control, everything, you know, like in terms of like not having a pimp spanking and beating up.
I left for a second to go to the bathroom.
You know, we're talking about prostitutes
and drugs and
man. Exactly, man. That's why we took the chance while you were out. You know,
now we give you the chance to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but just really quickly, you know, like I think this helps and makes the world safer, you know, and more fair. And more and better for everyone, you know.
Absolutely,
yeah, definitely,
totally agree.
We have a lot of illegal drugs or legal drugs being sold all over, you know, like and people doing business with that, you know, like so, or people it just depends on if you have a tie and a suit or you have a hat and you're selling recreative and more honest drugs. You know?
It's like pharmacy companies in the United States. It's like they just because they wear a suit and tie doesn't mean they're not criminals, you know.
Exactly. So I come back in a second, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, and while Gustavo is gone, we can have a moment of silence and listen to that drone.
Chris, I don't hear the drone.
Okay, wait a minute. For those outside, I'm not talking about a drone that's flying around. It's a drone. A drone. We talk about drones. It's a steady tone, and it comes out of Matt's studio, so Matt can't hear it. And you know what I'm sure it is. Your microphone is connected to your sound system, right? So that you have an LFO going on one of your synths that produces a drone. And if we're all silent, we can hear it. And I'm fucking almost deaf, and I constantly hear that drone.
Get out of here! I don't hear it.
Mo, you got to hear that drone too. People with headphones hear that drone, right?
I don't hear it.
Okay,
I heard it
stay
earlier
quiet.
in the show, but I haven't heard it since the beginning.
I don't hear anything, dude.
Wait, it's coming. Trust me, it's coming.
I just want to play football, Jerry.
Yes, guys. Everybody who's watching, we're basically also now we're migrating slowly over to our DJs and Beers Instagram page, YouTube channel, everything. Just go over there because over the next
Maybe
few
we should
weeks
bring
we're gonna
Juice in to like tell everyone where to go.
Juice, are you there? Can you hear the drone, Juice?
He's like, nah, man, don't bring me into this.
He's like, not again.
Can you hear the drone, Juice? Thank you.
Justin,
Thank
what do you
you.
want to tell everyone about like the new pages, where to go, and how to
guys.
watch?
So basically, we're just going to be slowly transitioning. Because I know a bunch of you are on Chris's YouTube account right now. So we're going to be transitioning everything to DJs and Beers accounts. So as much as we appreciate you guys being big fans of Chris leaving, we're gonna shift everything over to the DJs and Beers channel full time, probably end of the month. So probably maybe do 1 or 2 more shows with.
Because this way we concentrate everyone on one channel and we can read the comments of everyone, and everyone is in one place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So because right now there's
Much
like
easier.
3 different conversations going on in different places, so it'd be nice to have everybody in one spot. So, did you guys hear the sample? I couldn't hear it
So
for myself.
don't forget to smash that like button
So smash that like button and subscribe.
and
And
subscribe.
hit that
we
bell
done?
so you get our notifications.
So maybe David, you can tell us who's the guest for next week.
Oh, next week we got Lauren Flax from New York, so that'll be cool.
There you go,
So
Gustavo.
guys,
It
we
was
done?
yeah, Gustavo. Like
Gustavo, our show usually only goes till 10 your time, 11 our time.
Okay.
Gustavo, unless you have some positive parting words for us and all the people watching about the future of our beloved industry and when we can return to normal. I think we learned a lot tonight, and you were the first promoter that we had on. I mean, to us, you're not
Pleasure.
just
Honor.
promoter,
Thank you.
you're a friend, you're a colleague, DJ. It was great to get your perspectives. We could keep
Thank you.
talking forever
Yeah,
about what you
Exactly.
do, and
all night,
but-
all
but it-
morning.
yeah, it was great to get a window into your thinking. And like, do you have any positive?
Yeah, of course. I'm always, as you guys know me, like I'm always
Yeah.
optimist guy. Like
Give
very
us
positive.
give us some optimism. I think everybody, including
Yeah, like everything will go back to normal, man. Even the bullshit on the bookings and everything. And the champagne bottles and the horrors and the drugs and everything.
All right, that's
Okay.
a great last
No,
word. But
guys, I think now really, to be honest, like I don't see everything dark as a lot of people or see it like or this. Of course, this we are part of history now, and this moment will definitely our sons and nephews and grandsons and other generations will study this, and we're part of it. But that's always it has been our parents or grandparents also lived other difficult moments, and things moved on. And here we are, like everything will keep going, and I think when big change is needed, like we'll be here to respond and to make the move, like. So I don't think we need to worry about too much, like everyone dies one day, like so everything ends one day, like, so you just have to keep it simple, as possible, because we have a lot of problems already around us and a lot of negative vibes and thoughts and feelings coming to us every day. So if we absorb all that and we start thinking about that, we won't live our lives as good as we should, like, or we won't take the meaning of life like that's as we should, so like that's what I think we should do, like don't think too much sometimes.
Amazing wise words for the closing from a person who is actually carrying the coronavirus in his body at this moment. So
exactly.
we wish you a full recovery. Obviously,
I'm drinking some beers with him now with this fucking virus, like
Kills corona.
I mean, if that's not
we wish you full recovery.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, man.
Bye, guys. Cheers guys, and thank you for having me.
Gustavo, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hope to see you again soon, like real, like in not digital, in a digital way, physical way.
Cheers.
Get well soon.
Take care.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.